The transiting north node, which is currently in the sign of Taurus. The north node is currently around 22 degrees and this eclipse is exactly around 10 degrees. So we have about 2 years to make significant changes in the house of Taurus and Scorpio. This is where the south node is transiting. So if you're feeling already anxious and nervous, you're really worried about what's going on, you're really worried about what's going to happen at this solar eclipse, or perhaps you've already experienced some losses and some letting go, this is not because of this solar eclipse. It is because of the lunar eclipse that's going to happen 2 weeks from the solar eclipse. That is going to be in the sign of Scorpio. And we all know Scorpio is the 8th house and it deals with letting go and releasing toxic energies or things which no longer serve us in our life. So for some people, they may already be experiencing that energy and they're tying it into this solar eclipse. So if you're having losses and you're having to let go of jobs, relationships, this is not because of this solar eclipse. It's because of the lunar eclipse that's coming up in Scorpio in about 2 weeks. So people start feeling the effects of eclipses a month before or a month after. There's always a lot of focused, heavy energy around eclipses. So it is suggested that you do not make any life-changing decisions a week before an eclipse or a week after. You don't have all the information at this time. You have to wait for this energy to pass and then you can start to see things clearly. One of the main events that's happening right before the solar eclipse is that Pluto in Capricorn at 28 degrees of Capricorn is going to turn retrograde. Pluto is an outer generational planet. I would like to know how this energy is affecting you, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction and the eclipses. So please write me a comment in the comment section and ask me a question. I always answer viewer questions promptly. If you like the content of this video, please hit like and subscribe. All that really helps my channel grow. Also, make sure to share this video on your social media or with your friends and family. You just never know who needs to hear this message. You'll be helping them and you'll be helping my channel grow. I really appreciate that. So make sure you hit like and subscribe and share my videos. Also, leave me a comment. So Pluto is going to turn retrograde on the 29th of April. Why is this important? Pluto is the ruler of the south node. So the south node ruler is going backwards and turning the karma inwards. So some people are going to be experiencing deep transformation and deep emotions. This solar eclipse ties into the energy of the stellium in Pisces. If you haven't watched the video on my Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I suggest that you watch this video because some of the information that you're going to need to understand what's really going on at this solar eclipse and what changes that you could, expect in your life, it's best you go and watch this video. The Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is very important because we have a huge stellium in the sign of Pisces going on at this time. And the ruler of this solar eclipse, Venus, is transiting in Pisces currently. Venus is highly exalted in the sign of Pisces. Venus loves transiting Pisces.
And then the other important factor is that Venus just crossed over Neptune, who's at 24 degrees, and is exactly conjunct Jupiter at the time of the eclipse. Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics of the zodiac, and they're moving along together in a very fertile and spiritual sign, Pisces. Mars is the other planet that rules Scorpio, and he's also transiting in the sign of Pisces. So yes, that video is very, very important. Go back and watch it so that you can understand how the energy is going to transpire. Mercury is about to go retrograde around the 10th of May. So basically, we are going to come back and revisit whatever happens during this week and at the time of the solar eclipse. The other important aspect is that Saturn is squaring the nodes of fate. Saturn is squaring the nodes of fate in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio. Saturn is transiting at about 24 degrees of Aquarius, and the north nodes are at about 22 degrees of Taurus. This is called the skipped step if it's found in your natal birth chart. So there's something really important that the planet Saturn wants us to look at when it comes to our future direction in life, and when it comes to the things that we have to accept and let go. So whatever it is that's going to happen at this time, it's going to be something that's going to stay in our lives, something that's serious and something which has a strong foundation. Why a strong foundation? Taurus is an earth sign. This is happening in, the eclipse is happening in an earth sign that is solid. Taurus believes in quality. So Taurus wants to invest into something that's going to stick around, that has a good foundation and that has a good foundation and longevity. There is an orb of about 12 degrees. This makes this a partial solar eclipse. It doesn't mean it's not powerful. It is very, very potent, and it's going to definitely bring some radical new beginnings in your life. The North Node solar eclipses tend to bring us something new into our lives. Solar eclipses is masculine energy. We're going to see changes with the males or the masculine energy in our lives. The sun also represents our identity, our standing in society. Eclipses happen at the same degree every 18.5 years. So for you to have an idea what could possibly happen this time around, I suggest you go back to 18.5 years ago. There was a solar eclipse in Taurus. See what it brought into your life. What were the changes? However, the aspects of this solar eclipse are not the same as they were 18.5 years ago. Simply because we have the planet Uranus transiting Taurus. This is a very, very big difference. And this is why this eclipse is going to bring unexpected, dramatic changes into our lives. Hopefully, there'll be very positive ones. Taurus is one of the fixed signs, along with Scorpio, Aquarius and Leo. So this is happening so this eclipse is happening in an area where we like things to stay the same. We want to keep the same quality. We want to keep making the same money. We want to stay at the same job. And here comes Uranus, who wants to destabilize everything. And being conjunct this eclipse, Uranus is definitely going to bring major unexpected change into your life. Uranus is going to charge up this solar eclipse. Most people get really anxious around the eclipses. Eclipses do come around at least 4 times every year. So this is nothing new. Sometimes we have 6 eclipses in a year. I believe in 2021 or 2020, we actually had 6 eclipses, and that made that year actually much more stressful. So if you've been feeling anxious, just try and ground yourself. Taurus is an earth sign. Do things that will make you feel stable and grounded. Taurus is a sensual sign, so Taurus likes to be touched. Taurus wants the good things in life. So perhaps go for a massage, or ask your partner to give you a massage. That will release some stress and tension in you. So back to the eclipse. If you're wondering how this eclipse is going to affect you according to your own natal birth chart, I suggest you go and book a reading with me at my website, rachel-mayo.com. I'm running a special 30% off most of my readings, so please take advantage of that. When I do the discussions of the events, I always try to educate my viewers. This is the only way you're going to be able to read your own chart, is by knowing the important degrees and aspects that are being highlighted, so that you can look in your own natal birth chart and see exactly how it's hitting your personal planets. This solar eclipse is happening at 10 degrees of Taurus. It's happening on the 30th of April 2020. My chart is set for my location, which is New York. So we're not going to look at the ascendant or the houses. We're just going to look at the position of the planets. So if you want to know what the ascendant is, you have to make a chart according to your location. So let's look at what Taurus rules in the natural zodiac. Taurus is the natural second house of the zodiac. The second house rules over our self-esteem, the mouth, what comes in and what comes out of the mouth. The Taurus house, the second house, is the house where we earn money. So it rules over what we do for a living and our earning ability. The second house also rules over the food that we eat. It also rules over the family that we make with another person. This is not the family that you're born into. This is the family that you choose to make with a partner, perhaps a spouse, a friend, a lover, or it could be friends who are very close to you, who have been in your life for a very long time, that you've come to consider them as family. But most of all, Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. Essentially, that means love and money are also going to be highlighted at this solar eclipse. The Taurus-Scorpio solar eclipses started in November last year, and they're going to altogether last for about 18.5 months. So let's take a look at this solar eclipse chart. The sun and the moon are conjunct at 10 degrees of Taurus, and the transiting north node is at around 22 degrees with a 12-degree separation. This makes this solar eclipse a partial solar eclipse. The tightest aspect here is Mars, which is transiting in the sign of Pisces. Mars is at around 11 degrees of Pisces and making a very harmonious aspect called a trine to the solar eclipse. This is very, very supportive. We're going to feel very confident in making decisions towards our future, our karmic future. Mars at 11 degrees of Pisces is also aspecting the planet Uranus in a very harmonious trine. This is very, very supportive energy. So no matter how dramatic the changes we experience, or perhaps even losses for some people, you're going to have the courage to move forward, and even though the building is burning and things are falling apart, you're going to be able to come out of this building. You're going to have the strength to pull yourself together. So in any event chart, it's always important to look for the ruler of the event. And the ruler of this event, the solar eclipse in Taurus, is Venus. Venus is the planet that rules the sign of Taurus, so therefore she rules the north node. Venus is very well placed at this solar eclipse, and this is what is making this solar eclipse quite epic, fantastic. It's a good solar eclipse. When you have the ruler of the event, of the chart, well aspected and exalted, that means that he is or she is trying to bring good things into your life. So Venus is at around 27 degrees of Pisces. She just passed Neptune and is in a tight conjunction, less than 1 degree orb, with the planet Jupiter. So essentially the two benefics of the zodiac are conjunct at this lunation, with one of them being the ruler of the lunation and the other transiting in its own sign after 12 years. Something definitely supportive is going to happen in the next 6 months, if it doesn't happen for you within the next month, because the energies of the solar eclipses tend to last about 6 months to a year, and perhaps even longer depending on how long the eclipse lasts. In astrology, Venus represents the wife in a male's chart, and Jupiter represents the husband in a female's chart. So essentially, we're having the masculine energy and the feminine energy meet in a place that one rules and one is exalted. So the meaning of this is that your husband or your wife is probably out there looking for you at this time. If you've been single for a long time, this is the time to go out. This is the time to update your online dating profile. This is the time to accept all invitations, because you just don't know who you're going to meet and how important they may become in your life. So yes, this is the meeting of the husband and the wife, the masculine energy and the feminine energy. If this does not apply in your chart, because the houses that are being highlighted have nothing to do with love or romance, then it could have to do with money. Venus and Jupiter together can bring substantial windfalls if this is happening in your financial houses, or it could just make you become extravagant. For others who are planning to get married, this is an excellent day to get married, because the energies that are needed in a union are present together, one exalted and one dominant in his own sign. So make sure you're out there looking your best on Saturday. Go out and have some fun. Enjoy yourself. Accept invitations. For those who are dating, this is a perfect day for you to go out with your partner. Have a date night set out on this date. But with Venus and Jupiter together, you have to watch out for extravagance and overdoing things. So you might be out there, and in the sign of Pisces, you probably will be partying a little bit too hard. So when it comes to drugs and alcohol, make sure you're within your limits. Jupiter, Venus together can really push you to overdo things when they're together. So this is an excellent day, great energy. And for those who are not dating or not interested in that, this is energy you can use to enhance your creativity. If you're an artist, you're a musician, this is an excellent time for creativity. So yes, you can be at home and use this energy in a productive way. Of course, not everybody has the opportunity to be out there with a partner on a date or even getting married. So you can still use this energy very productively with creativity. Pluto is at about 28 degrees of Capricorn and is engaging Mercury in a separating trine. Mercury is at around 0 degrees of Gemini, and he's preparing to go retrograde in a week or so. So if you're one of the lucky people who has this in relationship houses, you're going to meet somebody who's going to transform your life. You're going to fall in love deeply, and this relationship is going to have a lot of intensity, simply because Pluto is also sextiling the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. This is going to bring a lot of deep transformational energy to this conjunction and to the relationship that you're going to begin at this time, if you do begin a relationship. Otherwise, whatever it is that you're going to initiate that's going to be new as a result of this solar eclipse is something that you're going to be deeply, passionately involved in. This is something that you're probably going to spend a lot of time on, and there will be some deep transformation. The other reason is because if we really look at this chart, it looks very simple and straightforward, but it's speaking volumes. The rulers of the South Node, Pluto and Mars, are both aspecting this lunation. This means that they're giving you a message to let go by choice. Make a choice to let go of some things that are not working in your life. And by letting go, you'll be able to begin anew, because this is what this solar eclipse is about. Solar eclipses are about initiations, new beginnings. And because Uranus is part of this solar eclipse, these new beginnings are going to be very dramatic and unexpected. So if you're a type of person that holds on to situations that are past the expiration date, the planet Uranus is going to shake things up in this house. He's going to be empowered by this lunation. Things are going to shake up. If you've been wanting to quit a job, this is around the time that you're going to decide to quit. If you've been wanting to leave a toxic relationship, this is the time you're also just going to suddenly walk away and free yourself. We're going to go through all these different situations when I do the readings for the ascendants. So the only negative aspect that I see in this chart is the fact that Saturn is squaring the karmic nodes. Saturn is very powerful at this time because he's transiting his own sign, the sign that he rules, Aquarius, and he's squaring the nodes in the sign of Taurus. This is squares pushes into action, and most of the time we need to be pushed in order to make dramatic change or to make changes in our life. So Saturn is saying, look around. What needs to change in the structures in your life? What needs to be shaken up about the things that you've held on for a long time in that area of the Taurus house? What needs to go? So this is another message that even though it's a solar eclipse of new beginnings, there will be some type of letting go or changes so that you can start anew and build a strong foundation with whatever it is that you're going to start in the house of Taurus. So just a quick summary of the aspects of this lunation. So we have the solar eclipse sextile Mars, and this is giving confidence, strength, and courage. This is excellent for physical activities like sports or perhaps even intimacy, because you know what? Or perhaps even intimacy. Taurus is a very intimate sign. So the solar eclipse is conjunct Mars with a separation of about 4 degrees. This conjunction is going to increase initiative, innovation. Do something out of the ordinary. Do something that you've never done before. Go out with somebody who is not the same. Go out with somebody who is different from you, somebody from another race, perhaps another religion, or somebody who is eccentric. These are the things that Uranus supports. If you get an offer for a job in a different industry, perhaps something that you've never done before, this could actually turn out very positive because Uranus is supporting you to do something radical and different. If you stick to the same script, the same thing that you do over and over again, this eclipse is not going to be felt as positive for you. I've already explained about Venus conjunct Jupiter. They have a small orb of just 1 minute apart at this lunation. So Venus being the ruler of this eclipse and conjunct Jupiter, who is also dominant in his own sign alongside Venus, who is exalted. This is excellent. This is excellent energy that's being brought at this eclipse. Jupiter is also sextile Pluto. Pluto is also sextile Venus. This is excellent, intense, and transformative energy. It's going to bring fortune in love or money. So the greater benefic and the lesser benefic are together. If these are in the money houses, definitely go and buy a lottery ticket. Just don't spend the rent money or the mortgage money. But this is an excellent time for you to go out there and give it a shot. The other important aspect when we put everything together is that Venus is also in conjunction with Neptune at 24 degrees. So they're still an orb, and she's in between. So essentially Venus is in between Neptune and Jupiter. This is a wonderful, wonderful aspect, and it's being part of the once in a lifetime transit. If you haven't watched the video on my Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I suggest you go back to this video as it's complementing this solar eclipse. There's a lot of information in that video. I go through all the aspects, and I even give examples, personal examples of what happened in my life when I had the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction and when Jupiter or Neptune conjuncted my natal Neptune or Jupiter. This is really worth watching. So go back to that video and put everything together, and then it's going to totally make sense. Aries ascendant, sun or moon. This solar eclipse is happening in your second house. This is the place where you'll have unexpected, perhaps even radical changes. And this is because the planet Uranus is transiting the sign of Taurus and is going to play a big part in this eclipse. Your ruling planet Mars is also being aspected in this eclipse. Mars is currently transiting around 11 degrees of Pisces and is sextile to the sun and the moon and Uranus. So essentially you are empowered at this solar eclipse. You have the power to control some of the situations that may arise at this lunation. Essentially, the sun, the moon, and Uranus are empowering you at this lunation. So you have some type of control towards whatever is going to happen, the new beginnings in your second house. What could possibly happen with an eclipse in the second house? The second house rules over our self-esteem, our earning ability, the family that we make with another person, perhaps a spouse or a husband. So perhaps at this time you're going to have a totally brand new beginning with a way of earning money. This could mean that you could start your own business. You could also land a very high paying job at this time. As radical as they may seem, you're going to have the courage to just go for it and just do it. The just do it thing is an Aries thing. So at least at this time, your actions are being supported. And yes, you must take action. A sextile aspect requires you to take action in order to make changes or achieve something or push something in the direction of the way you want things to go. This is how you use this energy. Just don't sit back and wait for things to just happen. You have to be proactive at this. You have to be proactive with this energy. So for the people that have been looking for other ways to make money or supplement their income, perhaps by starting their own business or getting a second job, this eclipse is going to give you opportunities. These are not opportunities for business or earning money that you're used to. They may be unconventional or very different. It could also possibly be something that you could also possibly be introduced to something that you've never done before. Do not get intimidated by that. This is what this energy is bringing, and this is what this energy is bringing because of the presence of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Things are going to change, and the changes may be radical or unpredicted and unexpected. Just be brave enough, have the confidence to go for it, and you will achieve something, or you will achieve or build something that's going to last you for many years to come, because Taurus only wants a strong foundation and stability. Taurus ascendant, sun or moon. This is your solar eclipse. This is the best solar eclipse of the year. You're going to experience this solar eclipse conjunct your ascendant. Whenever there's a solar eclipse around your birthday, especially if you're born a few days before or a few days after the solar eclipse or any other type of eclipse, this is the year that you're going to remember for many years to come, because this is the year you're going to realize that you had major brand new beginnings in almost any given area of your life. But this eclipse is conjunct your ascendant. So this will have to do with you, your body, and how other people see you. How do you want other people to see you? Are you going to change something about your image? Are you going to change your name? Are you going to get some type of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery to enhance your looks? Are you going to come out of the closet? Is this the year? Yes, this is the year that supports such type of action, because it may be considered as something radical and unexpected. The energy at this solar eclipse is supporting such actions. So anything that you want to do, anything that you want to change in your life in a dramatic way is welcome with this solar eclipse. What is ascendant about? When the ascendant is highlighted or activated, especially in such a major way, you essentially every angle in your chart is highlighted. That means how you're seen at work, also your MC, the highest point in the zodiac, that angle is activated. And the opposite angle, the opposite angle, your descendant, is also activated. And that covers your relationship with others, your committed relationships, business agreement, marriage, any type of partnership or agreement falls under this house. The other house that's highly activated is your fourth house, the IC, and that is the most intimate part of your chart. So every area of your chart is lit, and it is most of all being emphasized because you have radical Uranus that has been transiting in your sign. This planet wants to break your old habits, your old way of treating yourself, your old way of having others treat you, or perhaps even what you do for a living. Uranus wants you to change. Of course, we all know that Taurus is a fixed sign. So Taurus likes things to stay the same. You want stability. You want things that you want stability. You want things that you're accustomed to. You tend to hold on to things beyond their expiration date. So if there's anything at all that you've been holding on to, Uranus is going to come there and shake the ground and make you release whatever it is that is not new and advanced. So your ruling planet Venus is the planet that is ruling this solar eclipse. And guess what? Venus is very well aspected at this lunation. Venus is transiting in the sign of its exaltation next to her partner, her lover, Jupiter, who is dominant because he rules the sign of Pisces. This is superb energy. This is the time that you should be confident and not be afraid to do anything that you want in any direction of your life. Take advantage of this energy because it's not quite going to come back exactly like this. Also remember that we have the special once in a lifetime transit of Jupiter conjuncting Neptune in the sign of Pisces. This doesn't happen often. The last time it happened in this sign was in 1856, 166 years ago, because Neptune has a 165-year cycle around the zodiac. So you are being blessed in ways that you probably don't even know. You'll see some of these results a little bit later. Another good aspect that happened is that your ruling planet Venus just is separating from a conjunction with Neptune. And when these two meet, this is all about divine love, higher spiritual love. So if you've been searching for a relationship, it's very likely that you'll meet somebody who is going to sweep you off your feet. And then on top of that, Venus is also going to conjunct Jupiter, as I said earlier. So the lesser benefic and the greater benefic are meeting at this time of this eclipse. They are at an exact conjunction by degree. This is a lovely, lovely energy. And all this energy is applying a sextile to your planet. And this is an applying sextile to your sign. So this is energy you can take advantage of, but you have to take some type of action. You have to make some type of effort to achieve your goals. And the other positive aspect is Mars is also trine this solar eclipse that's happening in your sign. If you didn't listen to the whole introduction, I suggest you go and listen to the whole introduction all the way up until your sign, because all the things I said apply specifically to you, Taurus. This is your moment. Also, make sure you watch my Jupiter Neptune video. That's the video I did before this one. That video is going to give you a clearer picture of what could possibly happen. So essentially, the highlighted degree of the people who are going to feel this conjunction in a very intense way is anybody who has their sun or any planet at 10 degrees of Taurus. You are being activated. So my dear Taurus, I am a Taurus moon myself. I am really excited about this eclipse. I hope it does shake things up and bring new things into our lives. Remember, the moon in Taurus is at its best position. The moon is exalted in Taurus. There's so many good alignments that are going on here, and I'm just truly hoping for the best for us. This is our moment. Happy birthday, Taurus. Gemini, ascendant, sun, or moon. This eclipse is happening in your 12th house. This is where you'll have unexpected, perhaps even radical, unpredictable changes happen. And these changes may make you feel very destabilized and perhaps even confused, because this energy is in the 12th house, in a hidden house. However, welcome this energy, because this energy is being brought about because of the presence of Uranus at the time of this solar eclipse. The 12th house is a hidden house. It is the house that rules over hidden places like hospitals, prisons. It also rules over our karma. It also rules over generational karma. Karma that you didn't ask for, karma that you inherited just simply because you're born in a certain family with a certain last name. The 12th house rules over our hidden enemies. And our hidden enemies could be as a result of our self-sabotaging habits. Self-sabotaging habits like drug addiction, alcoholism, sexual addiction, or anything else that we do behind closed doors, things that we don't want other people to know. So when Uranus comes in this house, it wants to destabilize this house. It brings in a lot of energy, a lot of unpredictable energy. So you're probably having sleepless nights and feeling very anxious. Nobody wants this energy in the 12th house. It is beneficial in some circumstances, but most of all, it's very disturbing. But most of all, it can be very disturbing when it comes to sleep and resting. You want to rest when you are in the 12th house. So now you have this solar eclipse in the 12th house conjunct Uranus, and with all the other aspects that I discussed at the beginning of the video. So if you didn't go through that, if you didn't watch that part, I suggest you go back and watch that part. When there's a lunation in the 12th house, it will highlight all the things that are hidden. Some of the things that we don't even want to look at will be highlighted at this time, and will be forced to deal with them, because now all of a sudden in that dark room, dark room, there is a huge, there's a lot of light, and this light is coming from both the luminaries, the sun and the moon. You have no choice but to deal with whatever it is that's going on in this house. So if you've been suffering from drug addiction, this is going to be highlighted at this time, and you're probably going to be forced to make some transformative change. And the good thing about this eclipse is that it's very well aspected and supported by Pluto, and supported by Pluto. If you're ready to make that big step, if you're ready to take that big step and get treatment for whatever it is that you may be suffering with, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is also going to help you with healing at this time. And for some of you who are not experiencing any problems with addiction, this could be about generational karma that you can heal at this time. You can have a new beginning with your generational karma. It may be suddenly healed at this time. You can let go of things that have been holding you back, things that are not your fault, things that you've inherited from your family or ancestors. The 12th house is also a psychic house. So you can have some type of electrified messages or communication from in your dreams, in in your dreams, or you can get in touch with the spiritual world. And if you're spiritually inclined, some people could become very psychic at around the time of this lunation. You could have flashes of insight or visions. Uranus, after all, rules electricity, psychic ability, and astrology. So if you wanted to start a business in the occult, or you wanted to start studying or you wanted to start studying astrology or learn how to read tarot, this is an excellent time for you to have this new beginning. For others who have just been wanting to travel to a foreign country, this is the time also that you can start, this is the time that you can have a new beginning in a far off land. This is an excellent eclipse that's also being supported because of the sextile from because of the trine from Pluto to Mercury, and Mercury, your ruling planet, is very powerful at this time because he has just newly entered the sign of Gemini. So I really believe this eclipse is going to be positive for you, Gemini. Cancer, ascendant, sun, or moon. This eclipse is happening in your 11th house. This is where you should expect the unexpected, perhaps even radical new beginnings because of the presence of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. This energy is aspecting your sign very positively because Cancer sextiles Taurus. And sextile energy is positive energy that affords you to use the energy by making an effort to try and get what it is that you want to achieve. So this is energy that this is energy you have to get off the couch and actually do something. Cancer ascendants are always affected by all types of lunations. So perhaps you've been feeling a little bit unsettled and perhaps disturbed. Perhaps you've been feeling a little bit unsettled and anxious. This is because your ruling planet, the moon, is always part of any lunation, So lunations do affect you intensely, and this is a solar eclipse, so its energy is so the energy is 6 times as powerful. This solar eclipse is going to bring you radical new opportunities in the area of the 11th house. What does the 11th house rule? This is the house that rules over our elder siblings, our uncles, it rules our friends, and it also rules the groups that we belong to. So that is the groups that we belong to online or social media, and the clubs that we go to, perhaps the gym or other types of associations. This is where you should expect some change. This is the area where you should expect some changes. The 11th house also rules over our hopes, dreams, and wishes. The 11th house is the house that rewards us for the work that we did in the 10th house. So for some Cancers, this is going to feel like a moment of culmination because the things that you worked for, perhaps during the last 6 months or the last year, you're going to be rewarded at this time. And these rewards could be the reason why you have all these radical new beginnings in this house. So most Cancer people are going to feel really charged up at this lunation because they're receiving energy from Mars, and Mars is the planet that wants us to take action. So you're going to feel an excess of energy, and you're also going to feel very confident to make changes in this area, your Taurus area. The changes are not going to feel very uncomfortable because you have a lot of supporting energy directly being charged to your moon. When the moon is next to the sun, this is energy of new beginning. The luminaries are charging each other up at any given time when there's an eclipse, and this charge brings in a lot of light. For some of you Cancers who have been looking for a benefactor, this is the time that you could meet somebody who could bring a radical change into your life. This person will be a benefactor in some way. They will support you, they will support your ideas and push you in the right direction so that you can achieve your hopes, dreams, and wishes. Leo, ascendant, sun, or moon. This solar eclipse is happening in your 10th house. This is the area where you will have unexpected, perhaps even radical changes because of the presence of Uranus, because of the presence of Uranus in the sign of Taurus, where this lunation is happening. So Leos always get highly affected by any lunation simply because they're always part of the lunation. A lunation always happens when there's a conjunction with the sun or an opposition with the sun. So what is going on at this eclipse? This eclipse is going to bring you This eclipse is happening in a part of your chart where you cannot hide from the public. The 10th house is the highest point in the zodiac. It is the MC. So whatever changes or new beginnings are coming, they are going to be tangible, and the changes will be seen by the rest of society, because the 10th house rules over your standing in society. It rules over your career, your bosses, the work that we do, and the titles that we assume in society. Since your ruling planet, the sun, is part of this lunation and is being charged up by Mars, who is also another, you're going to feel very confident to make these new beginnings, even if they may be intimidating or perhaps even too radical for you, Leos. Leo is another fixed sign and does not like changes, and they're also experiencing a square to this lunation because Leo squares the sign of Taurus. Essentially, that means Leos are going to be pushed into taking action in order to achieve in order to achieve their goals or make changes in their life. So this lunation may be experienced as this lunation could be experienced as a bit challenging simply because of this square aspect. So if you've been wanting to make changes in your job, perhaps switch careers, this is an excellent time for you to go into a career that is totally brand new, something that is perhaps even considered radical. This lunation is supporting it. The area of Taurus is the area of your work. So go for it. Go and try something new, be adventurous, and most of all, be confident, because you are being supported to take radical action. If you've been wanting to start your own business, this is an excellent time to start a business in something that other people may consider out of the way, extraordinary, or out of the norm for you. This is the time for you to go ahead and do it. The energy is definitely supporting you to make radical changes in this area. The 10th house and the 4th house is also the axis of our parents. So perhaps some of you will have something really new. So perhaps some of you will have a radical new beginning with one of your parents, or perhaps with a boss. And this radical new beginning is going to be something that's going to be slightly intimidating to you. This is a great opportunity to go in a totally brand new direction. Virgo ascendant, sun or moon. This solar eclipse is happening in your 9th house. This is the area where you're going to have radical and unexpected changes. And this is because of the presence of the transit, and this is because Uranus is part of this lunation, as he is only 4 degrees away from this lunation. Virgo is being aspected by this eclipse through a trine. A trine is a very positive and supportive aspect. So essentially, this means that this eclipse could be experienced as a very positive event for Virgos. Your ruling planet Mercury is in a separating trine with Pluto. This trine is going to be very empowering and encourage you to make deep transformation. Mercury is also entering the other sign that it rules, Gemini. It's at around 0 degrees at this lunation, making it very powerful for bringing in new information. Virgos are going to be highly impacted with this lunation because they're already dealing with the energy in the opposing sign of Pisces. If you haven't watched my video on the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I really suggest that you go and watch this video because it's going to give you a lot of the missing pieces. It will help you put it will help you put everything together so that you have a better understanding of how this energy could possibly impact you. So what is the ninth house rule? The ninth house rules over the justice system, law and order, foreign lands, travel to far off places, foreign languages, foreigners. It also rules over religion and our gurus. The ninth house also rules over higher education, so the education system, but specifically higher education, universities and colleges. Our higher belief system also falls under this house. Usually our higher belief system is just handed down to us. It's not our own. It's something we inherit from our parents or perhaps our ancestors. So the ninth house essentially is the house of the future, the bigger picture. How do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so? So Virgo, if you've been planning to travel to a far off land, this is an excellent time for you to make effort. And if this foreign land is somewhere where you've never been and perhaps they speak a different language from the language that you speak and you've been intimidated, well, this is the time to definitely go for it. With Uranus transiting your ninth house, if language is a barrier, you can always use technology. So do not let something like a language barrier stop you from traveling to a location that you've always wanted to go to. This is the time to go for it. If you've been wanting to apply for a green card or some type of legalization paperwork, this is the perfect time for you to go ahead and start this paperwork, because you could get surprised and get approved in record time. Because you know what? People have not been traveling because of what we've been experiencing in the world. So yes, of course, people want to make money through tourism. So the windows might radically open for you to go to your dream destination at this time. And for those who've been trying to get into a university and thought it was impossible for you to get into, perhaps because you didn't have the money that is required for you to get into the college, this is the time that you could possibly get some type of grant, or you could get approved for some type of loan so that you can enter this college that you've been trying to get into. This is definitely the time for you to just go ahead and do it. The trine to Pluto is bringing deep transformational change. And some of these changes are changes that you perhaps thought were impossible or could never happen. They can happen at this time. And for those who have written a book but they've been apprehensive about getting it published, this is an excellent time for you to go out there and find a publisher. This is an excellent time for you to use technology to publish your book. You can publish your book and sell it on Amazon. You can have an ebook. You don't necessarily need to have a big publishing house these days to have your written word out there. So if you have a book that's stuck in your head, perhaps you wrote on a topic that's really different and radical, this energy is definitely supporting that type of writing and that type of message. So it's very likely that you could find a publisher who's willing to take a chance on you and your work. So definitely go for it. Be brave and courageous, and magic can happen at this time. Ascendant, sun or moon. This lunation is happening in your 8th house. This is where you will this is the house where you should expect radical, brand new beginnings and perhaps the unexpected due to the presence of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. The 8th house rules over death, sex, rebirth, and deep transformation. This is the intimacy house. This is where we bond with another. This is the house where we share our resources with another person. Also, what else do we share with another person? We share our bodies through intimacy. So essentially, this is the house of deep sexual intimacy. This house also rules over other people's money, money that we do not work for, inheritances, lottery wins, financial windfalls. These are the things that are going to be highlighted at this lunation. So essentially, you could have a new beginning in any of the things that I mentioned. So, for example, if you are involved in an intimate relationship, this could be the beginning of your relationship either becoming intimate if it wasn't, and if it already was, and if it already is, this is the time that you get really deeper into the relationship because of the trine. And this will be supported because of the trine from Pluto to Venus. Venus, your ruling planet, who is highly exalted at this time and is also the ruler of this solar eclipse. So Libra, you're really empowered at this lunation. So this means that if you've been waiting for an inheritance, this could be the time that you get an inheritance. Let me go back and finish with the intimacy part of this sign. So if you've been if you and your partner have shared resources between the two of you, there could be changes with there could be some changes with your partner's finances. There could be a new beginning in there could be a new beginning with the shared resources. It could be a positive beginning. It could be a negative beginning, but most likely I feel it's a positive beginning simply because of the way that your planet, simply because of the way your ruling planet is aspected and the fact that it is the ruler of this lunation. So I don't think you're going to experience this lunation negatively. If something negative does happen, because this is also the house where things get released and excreted, is probably something that you've been wanting to get rid of in your life. And when this thing that you've been holding on departs, it will create a vacuum, and a vacuum has to be filled. So perhaps something new and radical will come in at this time. And positively, some of you who have not been supported by your partner, this is also a time that could have something really positive happen in their life where they bring you more support in your partnership. And we cannot rule out financial windfalls. If you're so inclined to gamble a bit, this is a lunation that could bring a brand new beginning, simply because you have all these winnings which were unexpected, winnings which come out of the blue. This is something that Uranus can definitely do in the 8th house. You could have a financial windfall. If you haven't watched my video on the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I suggest that you go and watch that video because it has a lot of information about the conjunction, which is really a big part of this lunation. This is a very positive eclipse. So don't be afraid to make radical changes in the areas that I've mentioned above. The energy is being supported for you to do so. Welcome radical new beginnings in this area of your chart. Scorpio ascendant, sun or moon. This solar eclipse is happening in your 7th house. This is where you're going to experience the unexpected and perhaps even radical change. The radical change is going to come about because planet Uranus is transiting the sign of Taurus. This is the area of the other. Some people may experience this as their partner acting in a very radical and unexpected way. Since Uranus is always seeking freedom, you or your partner may decide that you want to be free at this time. One of you could possibly be seeking a divorce. This is something that tends to happen when Uranus transits the 7th house. And if you've been involved in a bad marriage or a terrible partnership, this is the time that you're going to break free from this union and start your life over, perhaps even with a different partner, because Uranus tends to liberate you, and then because Uranus would tend to liberate you when it transits the 7th house, and then suddenly, unexpectedly, have you bump into somebody, meet somebody else, and start a brand new relationship with that new partner. Just keep in mind, this new partner could be somebody who may be considered unusual or a bit radical for your normal taste. There could be a foreigner, or they could be of a different religion or financial background or status than yourself. Just to go over some of the things that the 7th house rules, I've already elaborated that it rules marriage, partnerships, business contracts, business partnerships, or any type of commitment that you make with another person. So Uranus has been transiting this house and trying to destabilize your relationships, your partnerships. Your partners may have been acting in a way that you consider strange, and this strangeness is going to be very apparent at this new moon. Since Uranus is involved here, and Uranus is aspecting your ruling planet Mars in a harmonious sextile, this is the time that it's very likely that you're going to have the confidence and the energy to take action in achieving what it is that in achieving your goals and ambitions about your relationships or partnerships. Mars, one of your ruling planets, is very active at this lunation, sextile the sun and the moon, and also sextile Uranus. This is positive energy that's going to make things happen, especially if you make effort. You are Mars. You're being encouraged to take radical action in this area and push something to happen, something totally brand new and radical. No matter how crazy it may look to others, this is something that you've been wanting to do, and this is something that you must do. In this area, if you don't take action to shake things up, action will be taken for you. So if your relationship has been stale and boring, this is the time you want to take positive action in the bedroom, in the bedroom to spruce up your marriage or your romantic relationship, because this is what Uranus demands. This transit does not want you to just sit there and do the same thing day in, day out. Your partner is going to get bored, and they will probably want to be free of you. On the other hand, if you've been single and you've been looking for a relationship, this is an excellent time to go out there and look for a mate. It's very likely that you could meet it's very likely that you start a very deep and romantic, transformative relationship at this time. And this is supported due to the fact that your other ruling planet, Pluto, is in trine with Venus and Jupiter at this lunation. This is supporting you beginning deep, intense relationships, a relationship that will be very impactful in your life. And because it's happening under the eclipse of and because this is happening in the sign of Taurus, that wants stability or something that's long lasting, this is an excellent time for you to go for it and be brave, be open to invitations. Let your friends set you up on blind dates. This could possibly be, you could possibly be meeting somebody who will stay in your life. You could possibly be meeting somebody who will stay in your life for a very long time to come. And if you've been dating for a while, this energy is encouraging you to do something wild. Perhaps go to Vegas and elope. Some people will get a sudden and unexpected proposal. Some people will be engaged with this energy. As sudden and unexpected as it may be, this energy is actually supporting it. So don't think it's negative because it's sudden and you just got married without knowing the person. Under this energy, it's very possible that you took a chance on a soulmate. Sagittarius, ascendant, sun or moon. This solar eclipse is happening in your 6th house. This is the area where you should expect new beginnings that are unexpected and perhaps even radical. And this is due to the fact that Uranus is transiting the area of, and this is due to the fact that Uranus has been transiting Taurus for the past few years and has been wanting to destabilize this area of your chart. The 6th house rules over our daily routines. What do you do on a daily basis when you wake up? That is, what are you eating? What's your diet? What is your exercise regimen? And what do you do for work? So essentially, this is the area of our work. In our work, at work we interact with our co-workers. Our co-workers, as I said in my other video, are not our friends. Our co-workers are known as our co-workers could become our known enemy at any given point because of either a competition, a promotion, or anything that has to do with elevation of status in the job. So yes, your coworker is not your friend. Your coworker is your acquaintance, and that's it. So if you've been looking for employment for a while and you've been unable to find employment, or you've been finding employment but it's in areas that you have no experience in, or in a career that is rather different and radical, this is the time for you to go for that type of employment, because Uranus is supporting you to do something that is new and radical. For example, when Uranus entered my 6th house, I started a job in a field that I've never ever done before, and I just went for it. It turned out that I thrived in this career. I was good at it, even though I'd never done it before. I had never worked with children in a school setting before, in a huge organization. Uranus does rule organizations after all. I thrived at this job. I enjoyed it immensely. It was a great experience. I was open to learning new things. So I went with the radical change, and it really impacted my life. So I'm encouraging you to take advantage of the opportunities, the radical new opportunities that may come your way at this time. Uranus does not want you to do something that you've always done, something that is predictable and boring. Uranus wants you to do something radical and different, eccentric. Another thing which I started during the transit of Uranus is my astrology business and my YouTube channel. Most astrologers will tell you that they started their astrology business or their YouTube channel when Uranus transited their 6th house. Astrology, after all, is ruled by Uranus. So if you've been wanting to break into this field, this is an excellent time for you to start right now, because Uranus is not going to allow you to do the predictable 9-to-5 type of job. As a matter of fact, for the next 7 years, the whole time that Uranus is in a sign, 7 years, during that 7 years, you're probably going to have different types of jobs, probably even up to 4 different types of careers. So I'm encouraging you to embrace the changes. Don't be intimidated by anything that's radical and different. So in a nutshell, Uranus in the 6th house will bring sudden beginnings and endings in your daily routine. This could also not only be with the work area, it could also be in your diet. You could be encouraged at this time to try new and radical ways of healing yourself. If you've been suffering from anything, if you have a chronic disease, it is encouraged for you to try new and radical types of treatments. It's very likely that they will work for you and you will have your healing at this time. If you've been trying to lose weight and you come across a really radical new diet, Uranus is supporting that. This is time for you to try something new and different. Just make sure that you're not harming your body while you're trying this new radical type of diet or treatment. To top it off, your ruling planet Jupiter is conjunct Venus, her wife, in the sign that Jupiter rules and is dominant in Pisces, and Venus happens to be the ruler of this lunation, the ruler of the North Node. So this is a very supportive, deep and transformational transit, also because Pluto in Capricorn is also trining this Venus-Jupiter conjunction. This is very, very positive. So my advice to you, because I've been through this transit and I'm still experiencing it. So my advice to you with this transit, if you're suffering from anxiety because of the presence of Uranus, and you're feeling insecure because of lack of job stability, Uranus wants you to do something new, different, and radical. And this is the time to begin this. This new moon is going to open doors in order for you to make new radical changes. So if you've been holding on to any bad situation, you're going to be pushed out of that situation so that you're forced to make new beginnings. Some people might have to go and seek help with a medical professional. Some people will be forced out of a job situation and now you have to look for other employment or start your own business that is different and radical. You've been afraid to do this whole time. This is the time for you to go for it. Capricorn ascendant, sun or moon. This eclipse is happening in your 5th house. This is where you will have unexpected brand new beginnings, which may seem rather radical or perhaps even unexpected. And this is due to the presence of Uranus transiting the sign of Taurus, your 5th house. What is the 5th house about? This is the area where we have fun. This is the area of creativity. Area also rules over karma, the good luck that we earned in a past lifetime. So this is karma that you're not working for. This is karma that is just there for you to spend in this lifetime. This area also rules over our talent. Of course, that's our creativity. So if you're a musician, you're an artist, this is an excellent new beginning for you to, this is an excellent new moon for you to make, radical new beginnings in this area. This area also rules over romance. So some of you could begin a very hot and intense romance at this time. Uranus transiting your 5th house is very likely to bring you an unexpected pregnancy. So if you're not trying to get pregnant, this is a transit to really pay attention and make sure you're using protection or double protection if that's not what you're wishing for, because it's very likely that it will happen. And since Uranus can cause things to happen unexpectedly and radically, this is also the area that can bring abortions or miscarriages if your chart is negatively aspected. And for the people who are trying to achieve pregnancy through modern technology like IVF, this transit really supports that. In fact, most people, when Uranus transits their 5th house in conjunction with the North Node, that is a symbol, that is a sign that usually tends to bring multiple births. So you could have triplets or twins at this time. So just make sure it is something that you actually want, because when the North Node is transiting in a house, it enhances the energy. This energy is almost like a greedy energy. It just keeps wanting and wanting. So it will bring you something radical and unexpected like that. Your ruling planet Saturn is not exactly aspecting the degree of the lunation. However, it is aspecting the transiting nodes. And your planet is pushing you to take action towards your dreams and goals, and making sure that whatever it is that you're pushing for at this time is something that's going to withstand time and be around for many years to come. So whether we like it or not, we have to all make some serious decisions at this lunation. The other supporting aspect happening at this lunation is the fact that Capricorn trines Taurus. This is a harmonious and very supportive energy that can make things happen very, very smoothly. The other fact is that Pluto, which is currently transiting your sign, is aspecting the ruler of this lunation in conjunction with Jupiter. This sextile is very positive. This sextile is going to make the energy flow easily. What is very supportive about this lunation, what is very supportive at this solar eclipse is the fact that Pluto is making a sextile to the ruler of this lunation, Venus, who is conjunct Jupiter in a sign that Jupiter is dominant, and Venus is also exalted in the sign of Pisces. The sextile aspect is an aspect which requires, the sextile aspect requires you to take action in order to achieve what it is that you want, to achieve your goals. So this is not energy that you just sit back and wait for things to happen in the houses that has the sextile. You can sit back and wait for things to happen in the Taurus house because that's a trine and the energy will just flow harmoniously. But however, if you want things to happen in the Pisces house, you have to take some type of effort in order to push the energy along. The fifth house also rules over our talents and our creativity and our babies, our children, our romance. This is the area of this is the area where we can start our small businesses by using our talents, our creative ability to make money. So if you've been trying to start a business and you were intimidated, or you thought you would not, or you thought your business idea would not be accepted because it's too radical, well, this energy, this solar eclipse is supporting radical ideas and radical action. This is definitely time for you to go for it. And on the romance part of it, if you've been single for a long time, this is time for you to go out there, go and do things that bring you joy and entertain you, because this is also ruled under this house. Just you taking that action could lead you into meeting somebody who could deeply transform your life through a love relationship. This house is the house of romance. You could start a radical new romance, a deep transformative romance with somebody who is a bit different, eccentric, perhaps a foreigner, or somebody of a different social status, or a person who is just somebody who is so different from you, and people are going to be asking you, what are you doing? But this is the type of person who's going to make you happy at this time. So go for it. Aquarius, ascendant, sun or moon. This energy is happening in your fourth house. This is the area where you're going to have the unexpected, radical, brand new beginnings. And this energy is being supported because Uranus is transiting the area of your fourth house in the sign of Taurus. I bet things have been rather different and unsettled in your home area. I bought my first house when Uranus was transiting my fourth house, and it was a house that was unique and unusual. I didn't expect to get approved for a mortgage. I was thinking, well, I'm too young to be buying such a property. And because of the support of Uranus, it happened so suddenly and unexpectedly that I became a homeowner at a very young age. So if you've been trying to buy a property and it's looking a bit unusual, and it's looking a bit of, and your family thinks it's a bit of a radical move or unexpected or too risky, Uranus is supporting you to take this radical action and invest in this property. After all, the sign of Taurus is a sign that wants a solid foundation and something stable and something that has longevity. So if you take a chance at this time, this is something that's probably going to bring a lot of transformation in your life and possibly a lot of money in the long run if you decide to sell. Another thing Uranus does in the fourth house is it will have you move. It will have you move houses. In the whole 7 years that Uranus transited my fourth house, I probably moved about 5 times. I lived in about 5 different addresses in that 7 years. Fortunately, most of the addresses I happened to be the owner. So Yes, Uranus will bring radical and unexpected changes in the area of being a homeowner, being a landlord, or perhaps just moving from different locations to other locations. The other thing that is ruled in the fourth house, the other thing that the fourth house rules over is your mother, your ancestors, of course, your home. We've already discussed that. It also rules your deep hidden emotions. The fourth house is the house where we are most vulnerable. This is the house where we take off the makeup, we take our clothes off, and we relax. So essentially, you could have some deep hidden emotions come up at this time, some deep resentments, and it could be towards your family or your mother. Aquarius, this is a positive solar eclipse for you. Your ruling planet is part of this lunation. It is conjunct the sun and the moon, therefore conjunct the eclipse. And this conjunction is aspecting Mars, who is transiting in the sign of Pisces. This aspect is a trine aspect. This is going to give you confident energy to do what you have to in this area of your chart. However, let's keep in mind that your other ruling planet, Uranus, does not necessarily like being in the sign of Taurus. Most of you Aquarius people don't like unexpected radical changes in your home area or with deep emotional issues, but this is the time that you will feel confident in allowing these changes to come about, because it's going to evolve you to the next chapters. It's going to evolve you to the next chapter in your life. So there could be radical new beginnings with your mother, with your family, with your deep emotions. And because Saturn is your other ruling planet and is deeply involved at this lunation, not directly with the degree of the solar eclipse, but Saturn is in a square with the transiting north node and the south node. This will push you into taking action towards your future. This will push you to take action, solid action towards your future. You're going to make changes that are going to last for a very long time to come. So do not be intimidated by the unexpected radical changes. This energy is being supported by both your ruling planets. This is the time that you've been waiting to make this change. If you've always wanted to live in another country, a foreign country, this transit is supporting you to make this move at this time. This is a move that you're going to possibly be very happy with and be very secure and settled in a foreign country. All the things that you need to make this move are going to appear in your life, and somewhat unexpectedly and suddenly. Pisces ascendant, sun or moon. This eclipse is happening in your third house. This is the area where you'll have unexpected and perhaps even radical new beginnings due to the presence of Uranus in this house. Pisces, you are one of the luckiest people in the zodiac. You are highly empowered at this lunation. You have an amazing stellium of planets in your sign. Most of all, you have the once in a lifetime transit of Jupiter conjunct Neptune. This transit happens only every 165 years, because that's how long Neptune takes to go around the zodiac. Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the zodiac, and they have just met. They just recently met in your sign. If you haven't watched my video on the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I suggest that you go and watch the whole video, because this is really important. It's going to help you put some of the missing pieces of the energy that's happening at this time. You will be able to put everything together and make sense of it. Let's go back to the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse is going to be very positive simply because you are hosting the ruling planet of this eclipse. The eclipse is happening in the sign of Taurus, and the ruler of Taurus is Venus, who is in a tight conjunction with your other ruling planet, Jupiter. This is an auspicious, it's a blessed conjunction. It's a blessed transit. It's even more magical for you because guess what? Neptune is at 24 degrees of Pisces, your other ruling planet, and Venus is at 27 degrees of Pisces alongside, tightly conjunct, your other ruling planet, Jupiter. This is heavenly. Anything is possible because of this stellium in your sign, and the fact that Jupiter, and the fact that you're hosting Venus, who is highly exalted in your sign. I can't even begin to imagine the things that could possibly happen for you and how you can use this energy. I trust that you're going to watch the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction to get the whole picture. So what is the third house? The third house is the house that rules over our immediate environment, our siblings, our basic education. It rules over all types of communication, the written words, the spoken word. It also rules over our communication devices, our computers, our phones. It can also rule cars because cars are used to drive around, and specifically it rules over short distance travel. So anything is possible to it also rules over our learning ability, the skills that we learn in order to start a new trade, or perhaps even get a job, or to just be able to fix things around our own environment. So you could have a new radical beginning in that area. And Taurus is an area where we want stability and things to last a long time. So even though this new beginning could be unexpected and perhaps somewhat radical, the radical energy is actually being supported at this time. Uranus transiting the sign of Taurus may have brought perhaps unusual quarrels with your neighbors or with your siblings, or perhaps you learned something new and radical, and this is time for you to implement it. There could be a brand new beginning with your siblings or with your neighbors, or perhaps you could have a brand new beginning with a job. It's very likely that you start something new and radical. Perhaps you could start driving Uber or delivering food in your neighborhoods. So this job could be different and radical, and it could involve short distance travel within your neighborhood. If you've had problems with your siblings or your neighbor, this could be when you decide to patch things up and have a new beginning, a brand new beginning in your relationship with your siblings or your neighbor. Or perhaps this is the time that you will have some type of intervention with a sibling or a neighbor or a childhood friend to improve a relationship, or perhaps you could start a new and radical business with any of those people. And since the third house also rules over written speech and the spoken word, perhaps you'll have a new beginning in that you'll be able to speak to a large audience about a topic that is considered rather radical or very, very different in your society. The other thing that could happen, if you are an author, you have a book in your head, but you haven't written it because you think it's too unusual or perhaps even too radical for some people, this is an excellent time for you to bring that book into paper. Don't worry about it being accepted, because this energy is encouraging it. This energy wouldn't be there if you were not supposed to write something that is different and absolutely radical. And you can use technology to publish it. You can publish it as an ebook. This energy is encouraging you to use all types of Uranian channels, radical new ways of doing things in your third house.